The other soldiers shoutingly hastened to the rescue of their companion, but Go Jing took them in pairs and threw them away. "You are still bragging?" the young prince shouted. He leapt to Go Jing and both exchanged blows again. The princess shouted to stop, but the son did not seem to fear his mother, on the contrary. "Look at me, Mom," he exclaimed. "This bloody peasant is doing wicked things in the capital. If he is not taught a good lesson, he won't respect his old man." He wanted to exhibit his best performance. He redoubled his efforts. Go Jing, not being able to parry his nimble and fast palm, was struck by several blows and stumbled twice. Mu Yi, for his part, was magnetized by the palanquin. A corner of the curtain had been drawn. He saw two gracious eyes appearing, some hair strands, a part of the face of a mother, full of tender worry regarding her son. Mu Yi remained petrified. Go Jing had changed for the better, but was confronted with an adversary with renewed vigor. The young prince sought to execute mortal blows, hoping to injure his adversary seriously, in order to definitively put an end to the combat. But Go Jing had a thick skin, and a good basis of Niagong, so that he was able to endure many blows. Moreover, the technique of the prince did certainly miss sophistication. His power was limited because of his youth and lack of experience. He tried on several occasions to grab Go Jing with 10 fingers forming claws, using the technique which had enabled him to injure Mu Yi, but the disciple of the 6 freaks defended himself using the technique to detach tendons and disjoint bones. As the brawl climaxed, one still could see Huang Rong and Hu Tonghai run one behind the other. This time, the latter carried a long straw in his hair. Usually, it was a sign indicating the setting for a sale or something. A bit of straw on a head thus meant that the head was to be sold. Obviously, a joke of Huang Rong, of which Hu Tonghai was not aware of, occupied he was in chasing. The remaining 2 demons of the Yellow River had also disappeared, obviously dispersed in some way. Liang Ziwang and his companions lost themselves in racking their brains about the identity of Huang Rong. They saw Hu Tonghai run really swift, but he never managed to catch up with the boy in rags. This kid, would he be a member of the beggar clan? Peng Lianhu asked suddenly. The beggar clan was at that time the most powerful secret society in the realm of Jianghe rivers and lakes. Liang Ziwang twitched but didn't answer. The 2 young people attacked each other swiftly, with increasing strength. Sometimes Go Jing received a palm blow on his shoulder, sometimes the prince got a kick on his thigh. They fought really body against body, raging and panting. Even a beginner could see that the fight became increasingly dangerous. The least distraction could cause a fatal injury. Peng Lianhu and Liang Ziwang prepared their invisible projectiles covertly, in order to intervene when necessary. Go Jing was a very obstinate person. His gongfu was not yet up to par, and the 2 experts persuaded themselves to be able to control the situation in time. In fact, Go Jing's development was difficult to reproduce. Having grown in the desert, he had undergone all rigors, had experienced and was hardened through numerous battles. The prince, on the other hand, had always lived in luxury. No wonder, in this utterly brutal and merciless carried endurance battle, he began stumbling into lapses of fatigue. Suddenly, Go Jing uttered a great cry, seized his adversary by the collar, raised him high and violently threw him to the ground. It was neither the technique to detach tendons and disjoint bones nor the chinna, but a unique Mongolian technique that Jeb, his teacher, had taught him. The prince reacted promptly, jumping up as soon as he touched the ground, seizing the legs of Go Jing, and they both fell. He got up quickly, tore from the hands of a soldier a long lance and thrust towards Go Jing's stomach. Go Jing rolled to the side, whereas the other continued handling the long lance with dexterity. Go Jing wanted to grab the lance with the stance to seize a blade with naked hands, but in vain. "My son," exclaimed the princess, "do not injure him. Be satisfied with winning." However, the prince, who seemed really eager to nail Go Jing down, turned a deaf ear. Go Jing, seeing the gleaming tip of the lance a few inches from his nose, Parried with his arm, something collapsed behind him. He seized the brocade banner of Mu Yi. With the stance to draw aside the clouds to peer at the sun, he used the pole like a long stick to counter the circling lance. Both fighters armed from now on, Go Jing employed the techniques of the exercising cane taught by his first Shifu. In spite of the length of the pole, which obstructed him a little, he could deploy all subtleties of this art, methodically developed by Keizhener in order to counter Mai Chaofeng. Each movement comprised of variants, often unexpected, always effective. Surprised by the ability of that weapon, the prince was forced into defense. As Mu Yi saw the prince handling that weapon, he grew astonished indeed. All its stances corresponded with the lance style of the Yang family. This technique, which was only handed down from father to son, could rarely be seen even in the south. He was really astonished seeing it now in the capital of Jin. But, in spite of its nimble movements, this version of the lance style did not seem completely orthodox. It appeared devoid of its essence, as if it had been copied without the knowledge of its rightful owner. Thus, one saw crossing and swaying of the lance and the banner pole, fluttering the snowflakes in all directions. The princess, seeing her son sweating blood and water, could not keep her anxiety anymore. "Stop!" she exclaimed. "Stop fighting, both of you." Hearing these words, Peng Lian, who advanced with big steps in the arena, he struck the banner pole brutally. Go Jing felt a sharp pain in his hands and released the pole, which flew away, the brocade spreading in the wind, and one could read, through the falling snowflakes, the golden letters "Contest to find a spouse." Very surprised, Go Jing did not even have time to distinguish the face or the silhouette of his adversary as he felt the coming blow. He leapt back, but rather slow. The palm of Peng Lian, who had already touched him on his arm, he lost balance and fell to the ground. "Young prince," Peng Lian who said laughing, "I will get rid of this thoughtless young man so that he cannot intrude anymore." He raised his palm, inhaled deeply, and sent a brutal blow on the head of Go Jing. Go Jing, who was on the ground, knew that he did not have any chance, but regardless, he raised his arms to parry the blow. Supreme Virtue Lingzi and the Ginseng Immortal exchanged glances. The arms of the young man would be lost. The blow of the Butcher of 1,000 was violent and was obviously going to break them. At this critical moment, a shout from the crowd was heard. "Hold on!" A gray silhouette holding a strange weapon leapt, and wrapped up the right wrist of Peng Lian who drew with force, cracking and breaking the weapon, attacking with his left palm immediately. The man avoided the blow by lowering his head while seizing Go Jing by the waist and carrying him away. Then one could see him clearly. He was a middle-aged Taoist, dressed in gray, holding a mop in his hand, of which only the handle remained. The torn-off strands were around the wrist of Peng Lian who. Both looked at each other. They had exchanged only one stance, but had been able to fathom each other's gongfu. "You are undoubtedly the famed Master Peng," the Taoist said. "It is a great honor to meet you here today. You are overcautious. May I ask the name of Master Taoist?" The Taoist, on which all glances were fixed, did not answer, being satisfied to advance his left foot and then to withdraw it. Then one could see on the ground, covered with a very fine layer of snow, a deep hole of 10 inches. A simple pressure of the foot had dug such a deep hole, that revealed an extraordinary gongfu. Peng Lian, who was startled, and said, "Are you the immortal with iron foot, Jade Sun Wang?" "Master Peng is overpraising," the Taoist answered. "I am indeed Wang Chuyi, but I am not worthy of the title immortal." Peng Lian, who, Liangzi Wang and Supreme Virtue Lingzi knew very well that Wang Chuyi was an eminent member of the Quanzhen Total Perfection sect. His fame was only a bit less than Perpetual Spring, Qiuchuji. They only had heard but had never seen him, and they examined him attentively. He was a man with fine features, with a little goatee on his chin. He wore immaculate white socks, gray shoes, and seemed to heed much care to his clothes. If he had not made a demonstration of his gongfu, nobody there would believe that he was indeed the immortal with iron foot, who, in keeping one foot at the cliff's edge and swaying like a lotus leaf in the wind, had definitively impressed the brave men of Hebei and Shandong. Wang Chuyi smiled and said, pointing at Gojing, I don't know this young friend at all, but seeing him intervening with such an amount of bravery and courage, I was full of admiration. That is why I allow myself to beg Master Peng to let him alive. The request was courteously uttered, said Peng Lianhu, and if a Quanzhen eminence personally interfered, who wouldn't grant him a wish? Very well, Wang Chuyi answered by cupping his hands, thank you. After thanking, Wang Chuyi turned. His expression changed, his face darkened, he asked the young prince severely. What is your name? Who is your Shifu? The young prince, after having heard the name of Wang Chuyi, felt ill and would have liked to disappear unnoticed. However, the Taoist had kept an eye on him. My name is Wanyan Kang, he answered. I cannot reveal the name of my Shifu. Your Shifu has a red mole on his left cheek, hasn't he? Wanyan Kang wanted to dodge the question with a witty remark, but the terrible glance of the Taoist frightened him. He suppressed what he intended to say, and nodded. I suspect it, Wang Chuyi said. You are the disciple of Brother Q. What had your Shifu said before teaching you martial arts? Wanyan Kang understood the situation had turned very unsound for him. If Shifu, he thought, get to know what has happened today, it would be a catastrophe. If Master Taoist knows my Shifu, he said servilely, you have the right to my whole respect. Why don't you come to my modest residence, so that I can benefit from your advice? Before Wang Chuyi could answer, the prince had turned to Gojing and said bowing. After exchanging blows, a friendship could grow, he said smiling. I admire the gongfu of Brother Go very much. I invite you both to come to my house in order to know each other better. And what will happen with the marriage? Gojing asked, pointing at Mu Yi and his daughter. Wanyan Kang seemed embarrassed. This matter deserves further pondering. My friend, Mu Yi said, drawing Gojing by his sleeve, let us go, we don't need to occupy him anymore. Wanyan Kang bowed again in front of Wang Chuyi. Master Taoist, I thus await you at home, you only have to ask for the residence of Prince Xiao. The weather is very cold, all things are freezing. It is an ideal time to sit together by a fire and admire the snow. We shall drink to celebrate this meeting. He climbed on the horse whose bridle his servant held and galloped, without being concerned of trampling somebody, full into the crowd, who immediately dispersed. This contemptuous behavior triggered the anger of Wang Chuyi. My little friend, he said to Gojing, come with me. I must wait for a very dear friend, Gojing said. As he said these words, he saw Huang Rong making a jump in the middle of the crowd and shouting at him. Don't worry about me, I'll find you in no time at all. Huang Rong stood back on his feet and his diminutive figure soon disappeared in the crowd. One saw Hutong Hai, the three-headed dragon, giving chase. Gojing turned and kowtowed on the snow, to thank Wang Chuyi for saving his life. The Taoist raised him, took his arm. Both found a path among the crowd and ran in the direction of the outskirts.